Something big is happening on the global stage, and no one's talking about it loud enough. One by one, America's closest allies are walking away from Donald Trump. Countries that once stood shoulder to shoulder with the U.S. are now saying enough. This isn't just political noise, this is a global sell-off. Why is Canada preparing for a sudden election? Why are NATO members secretly drawing up blueprints to cut America out of the picture? What does Trump's return mean for fighter jets, intelligence sharing, and the global balance of power? Stick around because what's happening in the shadows could reshape the world order. This isn't just about leaders and speeches. It's about alliances, safety, and trust. Because when America loses its allies, it doesn't just lose friends, it loses power. From day one, Donald Trump made it clear his priority is America first. He challenged decades-old alliances, questioned NATO's purpose, and pushed trade deals that left even America's closest partners scratching their heads. To Trump, diplomacy wasn't about relationships. It was about leverage, transactional, cold, power-based. For some leaders, this was refreshing. For others, it was a warning. Let's start with Canada. After Trump made a half-joking but still shocking comment about annexing Canada as America's 51st state, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called a snap election, the reason? To get a stronger mandate to push back against U.S. Trump also slapped tariffs on Canadian steel, again igniting economic tension. Nationalist sentiment surged. For the first time in decades, Canadians are openly questioning their security partnership with the U.S. In Europe, frustration is boiling over. Trump's VP J.D. Vance recently used the Munich Security Conference to criticize the EU, saying they're too soft on defense and too strict on free speech. The response? Cold silence from EU leaders. Privately, some European nations are planning to operate in a TO without U.S. leadership. That's right, Europe is drawing up a post-America playbook. And some reports say they want the transition done within 5 to 10 years. In Asia, there's growing fear that Trump won't honor defense agreements if conflict breaks out. After his administration suspended intelligence sharing with Ukraine, Asian allies took notice. They're asking if the U.S. can cut off support for Ukraine overnight, who's next? Japan and South Korea are already boosting their own defenses just in case. Even U.S. weapons are losing their shine. The F-35 fighter jet, once a symbol of high-tech American power, is now seen as risky. Why? Because Trump has hinted at blocking software updates for countries he doesn't agree with. That's triggered a rush in Europe to explore alternatives, build their own systems, and reduce dependence on Washington. But it's not just about fighter jets or defense systems. The economic fallout is just as serious, and it's starting to get ugly. Let's start with foreign aid. Several European nations have quietly frozen millions in funding earmarked for U.S.-led development programs. Some of them are now demanding their money back, saying they no longer trust how the Trump administration will use it. Programs managed by USAID have seen funding delays, miscommunication, and in some cases, complete radio silence from Washington. Diplomats from Germany and Sweden have reportedly complained that their contributions are being rerouted to domestic U.S. priorities or just sitting idle. And then there's trade. Under Trump, tariffs aren't just back, they're unpredictable. Canada and Mexico were both blindsided when aluminum and steel tariffs were suddenly reinstated despite existing trade agreements. European wine, French cheese, UK tech services all have been threatened with new duties. This isn't just about numbers. For small exporters in France, for farmers in Canada, for tech startups in Germany, it's about instability. You can't build long-term trade when the rules change with a tweet. And beyond trade deals, there's another layer: currency confidence. Central banks in countries like India and Brazil have quietly reduced their dollar reserves, and some are pushing to settle trade deals in euros or Chinese yuan instead of USD. That's a direct reaction to what they see as political volatility under Trump. All of this signals something deeper. It's not just economic frustration, it's economic divorce. Allies are trying to future-proof their economies in case the U.S. becomes too risky to bet on. It's not just the politicians pulling away from the US, it's the people. In country after country, polls are showing a steep decline in how ordinary citizens view American leadership, especially under Trump. In Germany, public trust in the United States as a reliable ally has dropped below 30%, a historic low. In Canada, nearly half the population now says they feel uneasy about military and intelligence cooperation with the US, and in France, nationalist politicians are openly campaigning on reducing American influence in European defense policy. This isn't just about speeches and press conferences. It's about how people feel. It's about young voters in Tokyo questioning if the US will really back them up in a conflict with China. It's about European students turning down scholarships to American universities out of concern for rising political hostility. Social media has only amplified these feelings. On TikTok and Instagram, creators from across the globe are creating entire series on post-American politics, breaking down how their countries are pivoting away from Washington. Hashtags like decouple from US and post-America are gaining traction. In the past, American culture and policy shaped global conversations. But now, in places like South Korea, Australia, and Sweden, young people are shaping a new narrative. A world where the US is no longer the center of gravity. This rise in nationalism isn't just about pride, it's about protection. More and more people believe their country has to stand on its own because relying on the US might be too risky under Trump. So what does all of this mean? It means the world isn't just reacting to Trump, they're preparing for a future where the United States might no longer be the reliable global anchor it once was. For decades, US leadership was seen as a stabilizing force. Through wars, recessions, and even pandemics, America was the center of gravity. But now, allies are asking tough questions. What happens if that center collapses? What if Trump pulls out of NATO? What if trade deals vanish overnight with a tweet? What if US leadership becomes unpredictable again? This is why we're seeing countries move not just diplomatically but strategically. They're building stronger regional coalitions, investing in domestic defense, creating financial buffers, and hedging their bets away from Washington. And here's the deeper issue: once that kind of global trust is lost, it doesn't come back easily. It takes decades to build. It takes one term or one leader to unravel. This shift isn't just a temporary reaction, it's the early stages of a rebalancing. A world where power is more distributed and where America might no longer be at the center of every major decision. The world is watching. And more importantly, they're planning. The global sell-off isn't just about foreign leaders, it's about how the world sees America. The question is, will that trust ever come back? Or are we watching the quiet collapse of US global influence? Let us know what you think in the comments. Is the world overreacting? Or is Trump pushing allies too far? Hit like if you made it this far, and don't forget to subscribe to The People's Brief, where we break down global politics without the spin.